Hey guys, my name is Bryce Macbeth. I'm the president and founder of Reap Commerce. We specialize in expanding brands to Amazon and tapping into the 310 million monthly active shoppers on Amazon. And we also specialize in e-commerce optimization, or in other words, conversion rate optimization on e-commerce stores. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what that means. In a nutshell, today what you're going to learn is I'm going to show you a couple examples where, in this case with Letter Jacket, we are able to increase conversions, meaning increasing the number of sales on this website by 65% without generating an additional phone call with one very simple change to this homepage. And in this case with Standish Salon Goods, we're able to actually increase the price of this product and also at the same time simultaneously increase conversions by 14% with one pricing change. With this site, with Cutco, we're able to increase revenue by more than $10 million a year by changing just one word that you see on this screenshot. And then on Thomas Draper Graphics, we're able to increase leads by over 165% by doing something that flies in the face of best practices as it's taught by other marketers. So a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Bryce Macbeth. I started my career at IBM as the product manager for a tool called Surf8 Analytics, which was the first web behavior analytics platform delivered as a service. It was a precursor to what is now known as Google Analytics, and we consulted with numerous Fortune 500 companies on how to start using web data to make smarter marketing decisions. So after the short version is, after leaving IBM to try this work on the client side, I became frustrated with the numerous agencies that were out there that did a great job at building beautiful brands, building amazing websites, building social media followers, generating a ton of blog visitors, a ton of social media likes. But what failed at the process of turning all those fans and visitors into actually paying customers. So I developed Reap to do exactly that. So at its core, we advertise websites to get more traffic. We optimize site to turn that traffic into more sales. And then when it's appropriate, we take some brands to Amazon, like I said, to tap into the 310 million active shoppers that convert, in many cases, 10 times higher rate than your average website. Here's a few of our clients, so it should make you feel good about what we're capable of doing with brands of all different sizes. All of these companies hire us to increase their conversions and get them better performance with the marketing that they're already doing, and in some cases take over that advertising to improve that as well. A number of other brands we've also helped that our team members have helped over the years, particularly with Amazon. And what makes us unique is we are the only agency that has ever hired itself to build an e-commerce business, eat our own dog food, on our way to optimize our own website conversions by over 950%. This means we got more than 9.5 times more sales with our existing traffic by hiring ourselves to do what we preach to our customers. This is a look at the website that we built. It sells salon furniture. And it's a funny story that fed into how we got connected into salon furniture business. And it's chronicled in detail in this book called Salon Chairs Don't Sell Themselves. And I invite you to take a look at it. So before I get into the nuances of e-commerce optimization and conversion optimization, it's important for you to understand how Reap looks at your website. So if you think of your website as a successful retail store on Black Friday, you did a successful job at advertising your store. So there's 1,000 people lined up outside the door waiting to barn rush the store as soon as the doors open at 4 a.m. By the time the doors open, only some of those 1,000 people have actually stuck around. Some people probably have left because somebody else is at another store waiting for them to show up and shop with them, or they just got tired, or they changed their mind, or something else happened that got in the way with them standing in line waiting for the doors to open. So of those 1,000 people, only some of those people stuck around to rush into the store. Of those people, only some of them actually found the product that they came to shop for. And of those people, only some of them will actually pick that product up and look at the label, maybe look at the price. In some cases, look at the price on Amazon to do some comparison shopping to make sure they're not getting ripped off. And then only some of those people who take the time to look at those labels and the prices and shop it will put that item in their cart, take it to the counter, pay for it, take it home, and not bring it back. So if you think about the original 1,000 people that came into the store or came to the store to shop, if only 10 of those people stuck around and actually bought something, that would represent a 1% conversion rate. 1% of the 1,000 people actually converted to a customer. And if that actually happened at this department store or at a Target or some other big box retailer, somebody at that retail store would be fired. But sadly, that is the average conversion rate of your typical e-commerce site. Only one of every 100 people that come to an e-commerce site will actually stick around to purchase something. But we let it happen because we don't know any better, and a lot of us aren't even looking at some of the numbers that tell us why people perform at such low rates. So if you viewed this image as an area chart, you might have noticed that there is a green bar along the bottom that represents the 1 or 2% of the people who are actually converting, and the rest of the people in red are the people who bailed without doing anything. And these are people that should have some propensity to buy because they didn't come to your website to get out of the rain, they came to buy something. Okay, so if, like I said, if this is an area chart, you're cruising along, and you want more traffic, you want more sales, then the typical marketing solution is to advertise the site more. So spend more money to get more of these people in the green to purchase. What we focus on is the 99% of the people who are not buying, because we have 99 times the amount of opportunity to convert more customers with the traffic that we already have in many cases without spending another dime on advertising. Here's an example of one of our clients came to us trying to sell hot sauce. Okay, so they compete with the likes of Cholula, Tabasco, all the ones that you see on this screen. And what they were asking for was SEO. But if you peel back the layers, really what brands are asking for when they're asking for SEO is they're asking for rankings. And when they're asking for rankings, they're really asking for traffic. And if you peel that back, really what they're asking is for more traffic that buys. So really, ultimately, they're looking for more sales. They're not looking for SEO. So the solution is really sales. The ask or the tactic is SEO. In a lot of cases, especially for a new brand, it's very difficult to get into this game with SEO because you're competing in this case with the likes of hotsauce.com, The Heatnist, a ton of different product listing ads, YouTube videos, Google Shopping, Wikipedia, Amazon, Walmart, Jet, eBay. I mean, the list goes on. It's really, really tough to compete in this space. There is not a chance I'm going to get this client, regardless of their budget, regardless of whether they're paying me $100 a month or $10,000 a month, to get them number one on this search term within the year. So this is not really the answer. This is what they're asking for. This is not the answer. And when you read many of the reports that are out there in the space right now, a lot of times they'll tell you, and even if you are asking for SEO, part of the formula for SEO now has everything to do with being on Amazon, because in this case, as shown on the right, if you look for something like paperclips, then the top 2 or 3 listings can be Amazon because of how big that website is. It's really tough to compete with these large brands that I showed on the previous slide. For SEO, these guys dominate the space, and it is competing with these juggernauts is almost impossible. So you almost have to play with the game to be ranked on SEO. And then industry experts like Neil Patel have recently come back and said that many of their practices they have taught for the last few years are actually wrong today. And many of the influences on how your site gets ranked today has everything to do with conversion rate optimization, what we do, than actually writing content, because there are billions of blogs out there, and the way Google can distinguish one website from another and which one they're going to put first has everything to do with which one they determine to be valuable, as indicated by people's likelihood to convert once they get to the website. Here's an example of what an A/B test looks like. An A/B test is an example of one of the practices we use to try to increase the conversion rates through this practice of conversion rate optimization. So in order to optimize the conversions, and increase the conversion rates, the rate at which people are going to buy, we run a series of experiments. So in this case, the experiment may or may not be obvious to you. If you think about it, there's really not another option. It either is obvious or it's not obvious. The difference in these two versions is the button. So half of the people that came to this site for Maggiano's saw a button that said View Menu. And on the right-hand side, there's a button that says Make a Reservation. So now that I have highlighted to you what these differences are many times, it is very obvious, and it makes sense that a Make a Reservation button would overperform or perform better than a button that says View Menu, because you're telling people exactly what you want to do, what you want them to do, or better yet, suggesting to them the best way to take an action to get what it is that they want. So you're making it very clear and very easy for them to convert. That makes sense when you see it. The hard part is coming up with the idea when the website looks beautiful to begin with. Should you change the picture? Should you change the caption? Should you change the logo? Should you make the logo bigger, smaller? Should you change the offer? Change the button? Sometimes that stuff doesn't matter. Sometimes it makes a big difference. And in this case, it made about $250,000 difference over the course of a year just by changing this one button for 50 different locations for Maggiano's. So a lot of times it makes a huge difference. Industry-wide, when A/B split tests like this are performed, the good news is that it's A/B split tests, when conducted correctly, will statistically prove which version of these pages produce better results than the other one. The unfortunate thing is that 65% of all these tests that are run result in a failure, meaning our new idea performs worse than the original version of the website. So a lot of us marketers who are not measuring what we're doing and running it through a controlled A/B testing experiment are at best treading water. They'll implement one good idea, and then they'll just implement another idea that doesn't work, and it might actually work worse than the previous idea, but you don't know which one is the winner and which one's a loser, so the net is a zero. You end up with the same conversion rate. So the only way to really stack your wins is to run a statistically measured A/B split test. The picture on the right here was a recent tour of Blinds.com. I met with Brad Parler over there, who became a good friend. But they have a very good life-size model that shows exactly this point. And in their bullpen, in their creative bullpen, they have these two test tubes that represent all the different A/B tests they have run over the last couple years. And in the left column, left test tube, there is a bunch of marbles that represent each of the failed test experiments they have run. And on the right is all the successful ones. And you'll notice that there's about twice as many failed tests as successful tests. And Brad still has a big old smile on his face. And the reason is because he looks at the failed test as opportunities that he thought might warrant a better result, but because he ran it as a split test, he knew that it was actually a failure. So these are times that he was able to prevent himself from shooting himself in the foot. So A/B split testing provides somewhat of an insurance policy against a really bad idea or one of your good ideas that don't work out the way you thought they would. On the right is all their successful tests, and they know, not only do they know they were successful test implementations, but he knows exactly how good they were. If he runs a test and increased conversion rates by 1% or 101% or 951%, he knows exactly how impactful every change he makes to the website because he statistically measures it. So now that is conversion rate optimization, and specifically A/B testing on how we increase conversions on e-commerce websites. Let's talk a minute about Amazon and why it's so critical for e-commerce stores in today's environment to be on Amazon. Number one, there is 310 million active shoppers, as I suggested a while ago. This is where a lot of brand discovery happens for small and mid-sized businesses, and where a lot of transactions happen even for bigger brands, because as you can see here, depending on what report you read, 60 to 70% of all product searches on the internet start on Amazon, not Google. So as much as we're asking for SEO on Google in a highly competitive space, the place to be is Amazon. Less competition, more searchers is better results and higher return on investment. So some reports suggest that the 44% of all product internet purchases occur on Amazon, not on your own website. And Amazon does take a portion of the sales in the form of a commission. But I would argue in many cases, for what I see brands spending on Google and Facebook and many other sources that aren't converting at a very high rate and are wasting a ton of money on digital marketing, not even to mention the countless dollars spent on SEO with no proven ROI, but many times a shift will change in the algorithms, and everything you've built up for a year or two becomes vaporized in the course of one code update on Google's side. So, and I tend to think that a lot of the return on investment on Amazon is much higher because many cases we can convert viewers into sales at a rate of 10 times higher than your typical website conversion rate. It's not uncommon to see a 10 to 15% conversion rate when people land on Amazon. So let's go back to that example I was telling you about ago. Maybe you're wondering how it is that we increase sales by over 65% on letter jacket envelopes with one simple change. It's important to know here exactly what we're dealing with. It's a very complicated, very advanced customization wizard, which is very powerful in being able to customize your own envelopes. But what we were seeing is many people weren't even entering that customization wizard because it was very intimidating, and many of the people who are buying these envelopes are administrators and people who are running the office but aren't necessarily design people. So we knew we needed to redesign the website, but we ran the risk of redesigning the site, spending thousands of dollars redesigning it, and then it's still not working. So thinking in your mind what you would do to address this problem, I'll pause for a minute, and then I'll tell you what we did. What we did is we simply put a phone number in the header, and it seems so brain dead obvious after you see it. The hard part again is identifying, how you're going to address these problems. So really what we were trying to do in this case was we were trying to get people who were intimidated by the process to call them, and be able to ask their questions. We could take their order over the phone, swipe their credit card, ask them a few questions, collect some qualitative data, and then inform a future redesign of the site to convert more visitors later. And what we find instead was that just by placing that phone number on the website, increased sales by over 60% without generating any additional phone calls. And the reason why we believe that to be true is because by having the phone number in the header, people felt like, number one, they had a wingman and somebody to support them if they got stuck in a bind and weren't sure what to do next. And so they had the support and the bravery to know that they could start the process and have a bailout point and some help if they needed it. The second and possibly more important reason is because it created transparency and accessibility by the brand. The visitor now knows that that letter jacket envelope isn't trying to hide their contact information behind layers of emails and 3 or 4 clicks deep into the website and you have to go find it. They're front and center with how to contact letter jacket envelopes. So if you ever have a problem with your purchase, you know how you can reach a human being. And that in of itself is the number one reason why people were more confident in buying from this brand and brave in starting the process, because they knew they had the support they were looking for. So earlier I told you that we increased sales on standard salon goods by increasing the price. So let me talk a little bit about what that entailed. This was informed by a Harvard Business Review article that I read that indicated that restaurant menus intentionally put single-digit dollar amounts without the cents on it, in some cases because people perceive that value to be about 14% higher when it does not have the cents. So for instance, if the hummus costs $8 rather than $7.49, the perception of the value is still higher when it's presented as $8 without the cents. So we did the same thing. Instead of I'll show you the previous version, the product might have been $342.87. We rounded that off to $342, and this is a mock-up, but the actual test, the price was actually much lower, and we marked the price up and lobbed off the decimals. And what we found is we got a result that was very consistent with that Harvard Business Review study that suggested that the conversion rates would be higher, and that in fact was the case on our website. Here's a case where we're able to take a number of our products from that website and put them on Amazon in a short period of time, be fully optimized, And at the point where we took over the Amazon account, we were able to increase the sales year over year by 11x, and we literally doubled the all-time monthly sales records within 2 months of taking over the account. This is an account that the manufacturer actually owned, and we took over as the distributor and increased our own sales. Here's another one with Dole pineapple tidbits. You're seeing here Dole increase their year over year sales just by implementing their product on Amazon and optimizing that listing. I mentioned to you a while ago Cutco, and by changing one single word made a huge impact, and that was inspired by meeting with their CMO, who at one point said that he thought that he was cheapening the brand by giving things away for free, but he didn't have a way to not give those things away for free because it was so influential on purchase behavior that he was scared to not do it. So we devised a test where we swapped out just the word free, just so we could isolate that statement. The hypothesis became that the word free and the use of free gifts cheapen the brand. Is there a way to statistically measure that statement? And we found that yes, in fact, there is a way to measure it. What we did is we swapped out every instance of the word free or free gift with the word complimentary. Could you possibly guess what happened in this case? I can tell you that free is marvelously impactful. So if I'm just measuring the visitor to sale conversion rate, when we use the word complimentary instead of the word free, our conversion rate went down by 5%. But the question wasn't whether or not it increased or decreased conversions. The question was, were we devaluing the brand? And the answer was yes, because the average order value increased by over $133 per order when we use the word complimentary versus the word free. That in of itself was worth a $1 million a year net lift in Canada alone. But the results don't stop there, because in actuality, that was all website visitor traffic. So when we segmented this down and looked at just repeat buyers, meaning people who were already familiar with the Cutco brand that came to the website searching specifically for Cutco, or came directly to the website, or came through an email from Cutco because they had enrolled, they perform better on the term complimentary, with a 77% increase in conversions and a 14% increase in average order value for a $1.5 million lift a year alone, just on that one change. And when we segment our new buyers, people coming in from Google looking for general cutlery terms, high-end cutlery terms, those people actually perform better on the word free, with an increased conversion rate of 10% on the word free. And even though it had a lower $88 decrease in the average order value, the total net lift when you factor in the increased conversion rate was an increase in net revenue, and, as you could guess, overall profit, because they're fulfilling, in some cases, particularly back in the repeat buyer scenario, they're fulfilling fewer orders at a higher price point. So more revenue, higher profit, better results. Now when you go to Cutco, you'll see that they highly incentivize you to enroll and log in to your account to unlock any special deals that are running. This is primarily for the purpose of being able to personalize the experience based on whether or not you have bought from Cutco or not before. So here's an example of a B2B scenario where our job is to generate buyer leads and deliver them to a sales team who will then work those deals over, deliver a contract, and get them signed. So in this case, I'll try to keep this short, but this is a lead generation page for vehicle wraps. We offered a discount if they signed up for a coupon, and we emailed them that coupon. So this worked marvelously well. So after that, we kept the form short as possible, converted quite well. So then we got to asking ourselves, what could we do? How can we put more money in the bank? Could we maintain an adequate conversion rate if we decrease the discount? Would people still be incentivized to convert? So same form, same creative, same everything, except I decreased the offer and this time going from 25% to 10%, so I'm putting 15% more in the bank, 15% of the total sale price in the bank. And what we found, ironically, was it was about the same conversion rate, about the similar number of people downloading the coupon as before, but we're just pocketing more money. So then the question became, what can we do to not give anything away? Is there a way that we can exude value without actually giving anything away? So we devised a test where we could do a online quote. So instead of keeping the form short as conventional best practices will tell you, we actually made this much longer. So we asked them for their contact information, of course, but we also asked them for what type of vehicle, we asked them for the time frame, we asked them if they had graphics. What this did, I'll try to keep this short and to the point, is this communicated to the visitor that, at the point where they are interested in moving forward and trying to understand if this is something they could even afford, at some point they're going to need to know the price. And as marketers, we really shy away from talking about quotes and prices and things like that because that gets really icky and that's not really our job as marketers. But we have found the more upfront we can be and convincing people to engage with us and offering, in this case, a custom quote, then that gave people clarity of what comes back in the next round that advances them along in their decision to buy from you or to decide not to buy from you. The interesting thing here is not only did this longer version of the form convert at 165% higher rate than a coupon code, but we also asked this question here, do you need installation? Of course they need installation. We don't know anybody who's ever bought a vehicle graphic that didn't need installation. There's not a whole lot of do-it-yourselfers out there who order just the print and then put the decals on themselves. What this did is we found in talking, and this is where it's really important to communicate with the client because they know their clients better than we know them. But our sales team told us in this case that they were still losing deals even though they were getting more leads. They were losing deals because their shopper would go shop it against their competitor. The competitor would offer the price without installation and not disclose that. That visitor would then choose the competition and then realize that they had been baited and switched over into having to upgrade and pay more for the installation. But at that point, they had already decided against Thomas Graphics and it was too late. So by asking this question up front, what this actually did is not only help with the intake process and generate more leads, what this did was it leveled the playing field because now all of a sudden Thomas's clients are asking their competitors for the price of installation, so they made sure they're comparing apples to apples. So not only were we getting more leads, we're getting better quality leads and a higher likelihood of closing deals. So 140, I think I said 165% a while ago, but it's a 140% increase in lead form submissions. Okay, so that's in a nutshell what conversion rate optimization and what we do here at Reap. I want to invite you to give us a call. Thank you very much for your time, and that's it.